Please welcome Mr. Elio Villafranca and the Jass Syncopators.
My name is Elio Villafranca. I'm a pianist and composer. I was born in Cuba, in a little town with the name of San Luis in the province of Pinar del Rio. There was something that I remember when I was a child that always struck me. I saw these men coming into town with these huge drums and then going into the middle of the town and then putting the drums around the fire. And then later on, I started realizing all this music and all these drums that I've been exposed to when I was a child, they were part of a Congolese tradition named tamborjuka. So I grew up next to something that we call Casa de Cultura, which is a center for art training and education. And I used to go there and take painting lessons. And then there, I fell in love with the guitar. Then when I discovered that the music school in Pinar del Rio were accepting new students, I auditioned to become a guitarist, but there was no any more room for guitarists, and that was when I switched to percussion. By the time I got to the university in Havana, I was doing percussion as a major, I was doing composition as a major, and then I was doing piano professionally. I didn't know what jazz was. I was more playing rock and roll. And then I saw Richie Cole for the first time. I was like, oh my God. Just like his performance was magnificent. Everybody was so enthusiastic about it, and so everybody was going crazy. Because imagine in Havana, where American culture was not really experienced that much at that time for political reasons and everything. And from that point on, I decided, oh, jazz is what I want to be doing. Then I started coming across the music by John Wynton Marsalis, Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea, and Weather Report. And the reason why I was listening to those great musicians was not because I was selecting them. It was just because that was the only information that was getting to Cuba at the time. I remember my mom and my father, they used to give me 40 to 35 Cuban pesos for me to go to the school and then survive in Havana for a month or a month and a half. So sometime when I was coming from home, there was this guy in the front of the school and then selling tapes. And then I would give him 30 of the 45 pesos for him to give me 2 tapes. What we did to learn jazz, it was really almost like a sacrifice, because what that meant for me was like, okay, I'm gonna be hungry for that month, because then for $15, 15 Cuban pesos, you really can't get anything. And then I would decide, it was a conscious decision to be, okay, I'll be hungry, but I will be listening to the music that I really admire and the music that I really love. So in Cuba at that time, we didn't have a very solid freedom of speech. And then this idea of freedom and this idea of becoming a jazz musician was what made my decision to move to America easier. Duke Ellington has this very particular way of approaching music, very rhythmic, very syncopated. It's like if he's thinking of the drum at that particular point. So then the selection of the word Jass Syncopators was a combination of those things. The beginning of jazz at the time, and also the word syncopators came from the word syncopation, which is syncopation in my culture, in Caribbean culture, is one of the key most elements of music. Conga Square is a very special place, and even more so was an even more special place because that was the only place where slaves were able to play their music and they were able to be themselves. That freedom that they gained was very special to them, and also it was very special to me to be able to come to America, to be able to play the music that I wanted to be playing at this time, which is jazz, but play the jazz the way I wanted to play it. I knew that I wanted to have a band formed by American jazz musicians and Caribbean musicians. And I knew that I didn't want to tell anyone what to play, other than just to feel the music the way they wanted to feel it. It was very interesting to write a music that was that open and that inclusive. This is the album that is coming out on Motema record, Caribbean Tinge. And the reason why I call it Caribbean Tinge was after finding out that Jelly Roll Morton used to call one of his forms of music that he developed Spanish tinge. And then I discovered that what he used to call a Spanish tinge was actually a Caribbean tinge. I wanted to put together all the sorts of music that really represent the Caribbean that actually participated in the formation of jazz. I wanted to create this environment where in one side would be jazz, but then all of a sudden the bands become like almost like a Caribbean festival, if you will. Monina bembe, monina bembe. Andabo caballuzo, monina camanyere. Andabo caballuzo, monina camanyere. Andabo caballuzo, oh ya yo, andabo caballuzo. Weye ye ye, weye ye yo. Ah. El eribo ya yo, oh ya yo, oh ya yo. Oh, yeah, yo.